Will, talk to me.
ABC Tuesday.
They took his daughter. She's coming home alive.
Will Trent, the series critics are calling powerful must-see TV, continues to thrill.
Shouldn't we strategize before we go in there?
If we screw up this case, a cop killer walks free.
With the riveting conclusion to a 2-part season premiere.
GBI!
Help me!
Get down!
Will Trent, all new Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Bird Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and the marathon continues. I love having these conversations, and it's been something different for me, honestly, guys. I mean, if you listen to the podcast, you know that usually I'm talking to myself or talking to you guys, and then, that's usually it, but it's been dope to have conversations with some pretty amazing people, very interesting people, all very hardworking and talented with their own backstory of how they came to be who they are. And, today's conversation is going to be no different. And I think this is a special one just because like this kind of applies to the importance of, I think when you'll meet people near or far, you know what I'm saying? You'll meet people near or far, and there'll always be a connection if the intention is there. And, they always say sometimes strangers support you better than your friends do. And, the truth of the matter is like, sometimes those strangers become your homies. Not every friend you have, not every stranger stays a stranger, and not every friend you have, every friend at some point was a stranger. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the tea today, the tea with tea. I'm excited for this conversation, but if you like what you're listening to, head on over to iTunes, subscribe, comment, review. Thank you guys who have done that and just been spreading the love. It's definitely appreciated. And also you can become a Patreon supporter. Head on over to patreon.com/thebirdbrainpodcast. And yeah, there are different tiers, different things. And I'll be changing it up and vamping it up the more I go and just understand that beast. It's interesting, to be honest. And if you want merch, some podcast merch, head on over to the Bird Brain store. All those links are in the bio. And yeah, you could just have a field day. But either way, I always appreciate you guys coming here and tuning in. And today is going to be a pretty cool conversation, so stay tuned. Rise above it all. Stay elevated. And create that infinity. Of your you. Of your you. Guys, what's going on? Happy day. Happy holidays. Happy all that good stuff. How are you doing? How's things going? It's been crazy for me. I'll be honest with you, as the year is winding down, there's been a lot of things to process and unpack and be cognizant of, embrace, let go of, that dance that we all do towards the end of the year. And I think it just happens, it's a very reflective time for one reason or another. And, it's not always bells and whistles. Sometimes it is, but like, for other people, it's really a time to like dig deep. And that's what I do. And, in a good way, today's conversation is going to be pretty dope. I have a very special human on the line, and, I'm going to just let her do her thing, and, we're going to chat about some amazing things. But, it's cool to have this lady on, and I'm excited for her to share what she does with you guys. So, Tange, what's up, lady?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. How's it going?
Everything's going great. It's the end of the year, and, it's like crunch time in a lot of ways. So just trying to push through those last final few weeks,
Yeah. How's that been going? You find any roadblocks or what?
Not really any roadblocks. Honestly, Gosh, I gotta say, I feel a sense of peace, which
Mm.
is crazy because, like, for the entire year, I kind of felt like my anxiety was on 1,000,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
I think it's just a combination of, things are winding down. It's the end of the year, and
Right.
in my mind, I'm thinking that, okay, this year is like the craziness is kind of coming, like, to an end. So I think that's
Right.
where that peace is coming from. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think, well, it's not passive for you. You also, you practice mindfulness, and you do the work too, because you have your own blog, right?
Yes, yes. I have my own
Mm-hmm.
blog. It's tangiersplace.com. It's
Mm-hmm.
just really about, life, lifestyles, life lessons,
Yes.
things that I've learned along the way that I try to, um, just kind of, write about so that people can just kind of have something to kind of look at. And even if they say, hey, you know what, I'm dealing with this exact same thing,
Right.
I just try to, use that as a tool to,
Right.
or a platform, so to speak, to kind of help other people that may be kind of dealing with some of the same things.
Absolutely. Do you usually find that, like, there are people, or like there's usually, let's say, an experience that you've had and you've been hesitant to share, and then when you put it out there, someone's like, you know what, I needed this.
Yes, and I gotta say, I mean, that when that happens,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's so healing because it's healing for myself and it's healing for the individual who can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe something that I'm like, I don't know if I want to say this, or
Yeah.
how are people going to perceive it? And when you get that email, or if somebody finds you on another social media platform and says, hey, I read this blog and it was exactly what I needed to hear,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, it's kind of like a sigh of relief.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's an amazing feeling.
I think that's dope. And P.S. guys, I'll drop her blog link in the bio of this episode, because I think you guys should check it out. And one of the things that I appreciate about Tange is that so it dawned on me yesterday that, like, everyone I've had on this podcast so far has been family or friends, but I haven't, like, either met some of these people in person, or, like, I haven't seen some of these people in a couple of years, but they've been very, like, prominent and present in my experience, in my life, and the things that I create. And Tange is one of those people for me, because we became homies on Instagram like a few years ago now, right? It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a long ass time. Yeah, and it's like, what I appreciate is again is that thing of, like, and Tange, I'm pretty sure you can relate to this. Sometimes we are so focused on the people that we see every day and how they present themselves, or how absent they can be. And then that forces us to think, okay, it's got to be something wrong with me if this person, they're my confidant, they're in my cipher, they're in my circle, and they are not showing up for me. What's wrong with me? And then God, the universe, whatever you believe in, has a very funny way of showing you things from a different perspective, and that perspective is usually not based on proximity, not based on relationship, but simply based on who you are, what you do, how you show up, and how that resonates with people, whether they're near or far. And long story short, that's been the exchange with Tange and myself. Is that she's been one of the people that have been very pioneering in terms of, like, the things that I do, and her blog is something that I check out, because, like, the conversations that we've had just about life, and the process of vetting and filtering out. And I think a lot of times people don't double down and talk about the influence of relationship, because everybody wants to pretend that it's all good, or maybe your friendship exchange is like how you treat them are transactional. But everybody wants to play this cool, callous, I don't know, image or portrayal of, like, oh yeah, it's all good. That's my homie. That's my this. But it's like, look at who you're inviting into your space, and how they take care of your house, you know, how they take care of your house. Because I'm going to be real with you. There is some people, and I was thinking about this today because I talked to my mom on the phone. And she was like, what did she say? She was like, you got to stop. What did she say? She's like, you got to stop. Well, she said some very colorful words.
I bet.
Bro, she said some very colorful words. Fuck it was one of them. But like, basically, it was on the context of like, you know, you keep trying to make it, not excuses, but make exceptions for people. And people keep showing up how they are. And it's like, for what? Like, why are you making exceptions for people when you're an exceptional person and you do what you got to do? And you're making excuses for people to shortchange and half-ass you. She was like, stop bringing people into your space. You know, that was her whole thing. And it was interesting. It was
Bet.
yeah.
That's so true, though. A lot of times we get caught up and, you know, we just, you know, at first, you know, when it starts happening, you don't really check into it. You're like, oh, this has happened. This is one of those things. But over time, you kind of sit back and you evaluate, you know, your relationships, whether it's, you know, a friendship or, you know, a business relationship or romantic relationship. You evaluate that stuff and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I've been constantly making deposits and, you know, the stuff isn't balancing out. You know?
Right. Why is my bank account in negative and I've been pouring all this into this damn account? Why am I still in negative?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you, you know, look at those things. And one of the things that, you know, just in speaking of that, you know, that this year kind of is really bringing to light is it really, really shined a spotlight on a lot of areas where, you know, you're just being shortchanged.
Yes.
You know, and it's time, in so many words, it's time to balance the books.
Come on now. Yes.
It's time to balance those books. And, you know, your mother is on point by saying that, you know, it's like we make exceptions for these people or these situations. And the only person that ends up losing is you. The only person that ends up losing is me. You know, it's like we're not getting back what we're putting in. And over time, it's just not, you know, an even playing field, you know. So it's time out for that.
It's about damn time out for that. And again, I don't know. And even sometimes I feel weird about bringing it up because, you know, the misconception is like, oh, you're being negative or this, and this. And it's like, you know what? Shit, honestly, it's a negative feeling. It's like, you know, you hear all these songs about heartbreak. You hear all these songs, you know, people make money off of these very real feelings. And for some reason we'll sing to it, but we won't say it because it's like, you know, why is that? Why is it so cool for this artist to talk, because they have a platform and it's catchy versus like, hey, I have these shitty friends that I can't really rely on or depend on, but it's like they're in my life still and I still rock with them. Or this relationship is toxic as all hell and I don't know what to deal with it. Or look, I just feel some type of way and I don't like it. Or, you know, just very human experiences and human emotions that we feel weird to talk about. I know for me is like, I'm usually hesitant, but at the same time it's like, look, I talk about it because I walk it. You know, it's like you're never going to hear me talking about something that I don't know and that I don't practice in terms of like just being a human.
Absolutely.
And it's just a necessary thing. And like you said, I think, you know, 2020 for a lot of people was very much like a visceral process. And, you know, I don't know your experience, but like it's safe to say that it was very much a time of introspection because you had a lot of time on your own. And if you weren't by yourself, you were with a significant other and you had a lot of time to see yourself and the other person for who they are and how they exist in your life. And I think it was just interesting, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely introspective time, and I think going back to when you said that why do we accept these things? We make exceptions for people.
Hmm.
It's just that I think over time you just become a bit desensitized to
Yeah.
certain things,
Yeah.
and the situation that was toxic at one point, now that's your normal, and
Yeah.
so you become so used to what you're in that you forget, like, hey, wait a minute, this is like some lame stuff going on here,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
so I think this year, if anything, a lot of people have had to dig deep, and you know
Hmm.
um, a lot of people deal with a lot of things when they are put in situations where there's a lot of change, whether your job changed, whether you had to go from your office to your home, or, if you had kids going to school, now you got kids in the house, sometimes that change impacts people mentally, and they've had to look around and see, who can I lean on? Who's
Yes.
there for me? Who's in
Yeah.
my corner? And
Yeah.
some people came up short. And I think that that's, a situation
Mm.
that's very, very real. And, to address it, you're not being negative by
Yeah.
telling someone, or by just having that conversation that, hey, the books aren't balanced, and
Yeah.
I need to go bank elsewhere, or
Right. Right.
however you want to word it. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not a negative thing. It's something that we have to kind of look at from a different perspective and say, you know what, if I'm not in a balanced situation, then I am no good for myself,
Come
and I'm
on.
no good for someone else, right?
Right.
So it's really kind of a self, and Isaiah, I know you talk a lot about this, self-care,
Yeah.
it's really tying into that whole self-care situation as well. So
Mm. Come on
that's
now.
what you got to do.
Yes. And it's, I think, you and I have talked. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do because it's so funny. I think what we do is I don't want to hurt this person, but meanwhile, I'm constantly being hurt by them. It's like I don't want to, it's like I don't want to offend you. I don't want to make you uncomfortable for making me uncomfortable. Like I want you to be as comfortable as possible, making me uncomfortable. That's basically what we tell ourselves, and I'm guilty of it. Is like,
Oh yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
want to. Yeah, I don't want to make you feel bad. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
don't worry about that knife that you dug in. I'll take care of that. I'll just put on a
I'll
little
take
band
care of
aid.
my own boo.
Yeah, I'll just take care of that. Don't you worry about that. Oh, it's blood on the floor. Don't worry about it. I got that. You just go get comfortable somewhere. I got you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you know,
It's crazy, and it's I'm guilty of doing that too. And I had to really look inward and find out, where does that come from? Where does it
right.
come from? Where the times where I've made it okay for someone else to be taken care of before myself. Where
Come
does that
on.
come from?
Right.
And I think if I'm just being totally honest with myself, I think it's part of a trauma response. I
Yes,
think it's
ma'am.
part of something that involves trauma, where I feel like I don't want to offend somebody. I don't want to hurt
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
So it's been a real, it's some real stuff. You know what I mean? It's something that you really gotta look inward on. It's definitely a trauma response, and
Mm.
we have to find ways to pull ourselves out of that. Otherwise, you're going to always be that person that you put so many other people before you, even when it's a toxic situation, that at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're the one that needs to be rescued.
Come on now. Yeah. It's like you oh man. That's such a good process to realize. And I think sometimes we're afraid to dig into that past because again, taking care of other people, if I acknowledge that I have a trauma response to this situation, then that means that someone I relied on to take care of me was not present. And what that
Exactly.
means is that they're a perpetrator. And what that means is that I have to acknowledge that this person, it could be a family member, whoever the hell it may be,
Mm-hmm.
they're not perfect. And what that means is I have to accept that some things that they've done hurt me.
Mm,
You know,
that's deep.
it
That's some deep stuff.
and people don't want to do that because we're so used to taking care of the people that hurt us that it's like I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. And it's like, I don't even want you to feel uncomfortable in my pain. You know, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable in my soul. It's just such a weird dance and process that we do when it comes to trauma, repeating our trauma, and our trauma showing up later in life, because you would think as you get older it gets easier and you stop dealing with those things, but the truth of the matter is it's like it's ever evolving. I think just primarily because you keep finding the same patterns, because people are just getting older, they're not really growing. Everybody's just getting older.
Yeah, just getting older. You're not changing, you're not growing, you're not evolving, you're just
Right.
Getting older, and that thing that you thought was going to go away is like that, that pasta dish that you made and you only ate half of it. You put the leftovers in the fridge, and every day it's like getting more and more
Just
spoiled.
nasty. Just nasty. It's like, ew, I'm not even touching this.
Yeah, so it's gonna resurface at some point,
Yeah, it's true, man. I think the trauma, again, I think it all comes back to trauma. Like, no one wants to accept that, hey, this could even be a trauma response. Like something that you may not recognize as traumatic may actually be something that's been a huge component in how you move through life. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
exactly.
It's taking the time to do the work. And, one thing I think I've noticed or understood just from observation is that we engage in relationship because it distracts us from the relationship with ourselves. Is like, if I have an external project to work on, project meaning a person, then I don't have to look at myself because I'm too distracted by what this person's doing in front of me. I'm too distracted about like what I need to fix in them or what they need to do versus me having to take a look at myself and how we even got to this place in the first place. It's that thing,
It is, and you're right. You have to do the work. And it's messy, and it can be ugly, and it can be time consuming. But the work is so important. You have to do that work and get to the bottom of that so that you can, just be a more balanced human being. In general.
Yeah.
But it's important. It's important.
It really is. It's like I said, I think this year kind of put it full circle, and it's like there was opportunity this year to take care of yourself. Whether someone did or didn't was solely up to them. But I think like mental health was definitely at an all-time high.
Sure.
And it was just a different way people had to just endure and deal and be aware of. And again, the awareness is a thing, because I think once you have awareness of something, automatically you now have obligation and responsibility.
Absolutely.
And the easiest thing to do is to play dumb. And we see it all the time, in our world. Is like, let me play stupid, because if I keep playing this stupid game, then I'll get a pass. I could get a pass for how I treat you. I could get a pass for how I move through life. I could get a pass for my just my way of operating, because he doesn't know any better or she doesn't know any better. But once you acknowledge, okay, this is some part of my French, some shit I gotta work on, and you're not working on it, people are gonna look at you sideways now, because it's like, oh, you're aware of what you're doing now.
Right.
You're aware. Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, like, so we had this discussion, and you're now aware of this, and you're still choosing not to be accountable.
Yes.
That's a whole different ballgame. To me, that's like on the fine line of disrespect at that point.
Yeah. It's blatant disrespect, I think, because it's like, I think in that space of, well, especially I think if you're a consistent person, when you're on the receiving end of someone like that, the thing about it is that people, we're creatures of habit. You know what I'm saying? So we get used to or acclimated to certain things, even with people. It's like, I know that your response to my behavior, you might get mad, but you'll be back. So I don't really have to change. I could change my posture in the moment, but I don't really have to change my patterns because you always come back.
Yeah,
you know?
the temporary evolvers, the ones that just change for like a day, and then
Yeah.
the next day it's like back to the same old, same old.
Yeah, let me go mess up this house again like I planned to do anyway. I was just waiting. How have how have you been like taking care of your mental health this year with everything going on? Because you're in ATL, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, it's become paramount. It's like, meditation, deep breathing,
Yes.
something that I find that's like really therapeutic, which is so simple, but it's just like, sitting in peace for, a few minutes, like no social media, no phone, no TV, no music playing in the background, just like complete like peace, and just really centering myself has been like a huge help.
Nice.
Practicing like deep breathing, making sure that, I'm like really, really, really feeling, my energy. And those things have been really, really helpful to me. Spending time outdoors, again, it sounds simple, but, in the craziness of things, sometimes, a walk outside or, just being outside, inhaling fresh, clean air is like, it does wonders.
Yeah.
So
man.
it's like definitely important to do that, and just like setting boundaries. Sometimes I know for myself early in the year, I had gotten so tangled up with checking social media and checking all of these social media platforms to see what's going on, and all these news platforms, and reading the news and the headlines, and I was like, you know what, I need to have like some boundaries,
right?
And I need to say that after this amount of time, I'm not, checking into this stuff anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'm having this time to just kind of wind down for my day and really, not go to bed with all of that stuff on my shoulders,
Yeah.
So that's really been like a really big deal for me. It's like making sure I have that time to say, you know what, I'm done scrolling, I'm done posting, I'm done,
I'm done.
Absorbing all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So that's really been a huge help.
Swaggy. I dig that. And you said you journal, right? Or did you not? I don't want to put
Yes,
words in your
I
mouth.
do. I do that also. And that's been huge also because of just, you can write stuff out. You can just know that it's in a place where, no judgment, it's like, just like kind of getting it out. Without having to talk to somebody who's going to, have their own set of rules to apply to what you have to say, right? So
come on,
you can just kind of get it out. That really is important,
Wow.
instead of just like talking. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good to talk to people, but sometimes when you talk to people, they already have their preconceived notions about what you're saying.
Yes.
And now, not only do you have the thing that you came to them with, but now you've got something else on top of that.
Yeah. It's like, damn. I think we got tangled up. I think like your problems got mixed with mine, and this was supposed to be about me, homie. It's just like, wait, how did this happen?
Where did you do that?
Right. It's funny. I journal too, and like you said, one of the things I like that you said was that, journaling, there's no rules. There's no judgment. Although I feel like my journal, they be looking at me sideways like, oh, it's like, bro, don't tattoo this on me. I didn't need this. It's like, this hurt my feelings. What are you doing, sir? But it's great. I know there are some times, and I was telling someone the other night, I was like, I just got to get back into journaling because people fail to realize sometimes it's like journaling is still a way of saying things out loud. And the reason I think is because while you're writing, even if you're just writing on a piece of paper, you'll notice that you're usually saying the words as you're writing them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're talking, you're having a very safe conversation with yourself, with yourself. And you'll notice that you feel a little bit lighter after you've finished writing whatever you needed to. It's just hard.
All the time.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. And my journal will be like, look, oh, so you just going to leave me here after After you said all of that, you're not gonna let me
With all
talk
this?
with all this. You just gonna tuck me away now and just go to bed? Oh, okay. I'm glad you could sleep better, sir. Good night to you. But it's
Sweet dreams to you,
bro.
while I digest all these words.
I have a bunch of journals. I don't know about you, but it's like I go through these phases. I think there was like one journal I actually finished, but I found a couple of my journals and they're from years ago, and I was like, wow. I was like, some of these things are still very present, and I'm like, okay, if I'm seeing the same thing that I wrote like a couple of years ago, then it's like, this is an Isaiah issue, and it's like, what do we need to work on? Other times you just see something from your past self that's like, damn, dude or girl, what, like you were ahead of the game, or it's like, okay, this is very wise, and this is something for me to apply now, like with what I'm going through. But journaling, like I said, I think is great, and I'm sure you understand this as a writer too. It's like, writing is not, a lot of times it's for ourselves, and the bonus and the takeaway is that our writing helps right someone else's wrongs.
Yeah.
That's such a blessing. It's such a blessing, and it's cool, when someone does take the time to read and understand who you are, because one of the things you realize is like, we're not unique. We're all humans. We're very much individuals, but like when it's all said and done, we all have a lot of the same experiences, but no one like talks about it. Everybody's afraid to be like, this shit sucks. This hurt. I'm going through this, whatever the case may be. And it's like, sometimes it just feels good to like say it.
It does. It does. It feels good to get it out, and it feels good when, like I said, when somebody, can say, hey, I experienced that as well. And to your point, yes, we all, have a lot of the same experiences, but sometimes we just don't want to say it because we're like, well, this is pretty crazy. I can't say this to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, when you get it out there and you realize that so many other people are feeling the same or have done the same or are going through the same, it's just like, wow, on a very spiritual level, we are connected that way, so it's interesting. But yes, healing on both sides, blessing on both sides,
right,
for sure.
Come on now, that's good. Okay, so before we part here, 2 questions: your favorite food and favorite movie.
Well, gosh, my favorite food for sure is salmon. I love salmon. I make salmon often.
Okay.
I love it grilled. I love it baked. I love it pan-seared. I have so many salmon recipes.
Go off. Okay.
Yeah. Salmon definitely is my absolute favorite.
Wow.
As far as movies, oh my gosh, this is like so corny, but I'm really into the Mission Impossible movies.
Really?
They are so, like, they're old school, but
yeah.
I swear, I can watch them and get into it like it just came out yesterday. It's like...
Really?
I don't know if it's, like, the whole, like, Secret Service, the whole CIA thing or whatever, but yeah, I think, like, Mission Impossible 5, for sure, is definitely one of my favorites, but...
okay.
Yeah, I like the action, I like the suspense, and I know it's corny, but hey, it is what it is.
No, it's not even corny. You know what's funny? I've never seen I don't think I've ever seen a full Mission Impossible.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've done it. I don't think it's just been, because for me it's like, things just blowing up and noise and just like all that. I'm just like, I don't need all that noise in my house. So it's like, that's a noisy movie.
There's definitely a lot of that.
Turn down that damn noise in this house. So I don't think, have I ever watched a full, I think there was one Mission Impossible movie with Kelly Hu.
Yeah.
Was that like 2 or 3? It was early.
I think that was 2.
And that was the last one I saw. I was like, I think I'm good for me. I've never seen the original Mission Impossible. I was like, guys, I got things to do. This movie is loud.
All that noise stuff
Yeah, it's like I don't need all this noise. It's funny because my mom, she likes noisy movies too. She likes it blew my mind. She's like a big fan of Transformers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, I love those movies. Like, what you mean? Because I used to watch it growing up. Like Transformers was my vibe, but to just find out that she was like a big Transformers, I was like, you weirdo. And she's like, yeah, I love the action and all that. It's like, that's noisy. It's a noisy ass movie. I'm good. Yeah, I watch horror movies, so it's like, horror movies are like just quiet. Sometimes they're not, but like overall, it's a little bit more peaceful in a weird way. So y'all keep
You're
those
right.
noisy ass movies. Y'all can have those. I'm good over here.
You're good over there with your heart.
Bro, I'm good over here with my horror, my peace, and my bliss. Y'all just noisy. I like that noise. It's like, nah.
That is so funny. Too much noise. Turn that
Yes,
off.
turn it off. But yes, T, thank you for coming on and just chilling and chatting with
Thanks
me.
for having me. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's a big deal. Got to have the people on here that are just, like I said, making it a point to spread something good into the world in one way or another, one step at a time. And it's like, you're doing that. You're doing that by doing the work on yourself. And, that speaks volumes. So, yeah, thank you for having, just having this sit down with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and have a great holiday season.
Thank you. You as well. Tell everybody what your blog is again. I'll post it in the bio, but just let them know.
Sure. Yeah. It's tangiersplace.com, and just check it out. I'd love to have you stop by and take a read. Leave a message if you like, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Yes, and be quiet when you're on the website. We don't need no damn noise from the typing. No noise. Type quietly, okay? It's a quiet space. Type quietly and think quietly. Period. Awesome. Guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, take flight.